Hey everybody, good morning. How are you? Happy Friday. We made it to Friday, so hope that you're doing well. Hope that your week is going to wrap up in a positive way, or maybe already has wrapped up in a positive way. I know for some of you it's already evening time or whatnot. But I'm doing well and really looking forward to spending some time with you today. Oh, looks like I have my microphone to the side. It never fails that I forget something in my setup or my buttons or my software or whatever. Um, but yeah, it looks like I need to adjust my microphone here a little bit. But I hope that you're doing well, and I'm just really grateful for the time that we get to spend together. It's a really, really nice day out where I live. It's actually getting just a little bit colder out where I live, which is nice. But really hoping that you're well and that your families are well. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, because I'm still getting quite a few users, we do ask people to introduce themselves. Please let us know your city, state, province, country. We ask people, let us know where they're from. That way we can get to know a little bit about you, and also keeps the chat professional and, keeps us growing as a community. So please go ahead and do that. I call that my global roll call. Let us know where you're from. And it's always nice to see new people joining us. It looks like we already have a couple of new people joining us. So that's great. And then while you guys fill up my chat with those introductions, I usually like to give an opening note just to kind of help set the tone for what we're going to talk about, and just see where the conversation takes us. Maybe you have some thoughts on my opening note. Maybe there's other things you want to talk about. I'm here to answer your questions. So let's get started. So I'm already seeing some new people. Andy from Helsinki, Finland. Welcome. I think it's your first time, so thank you so much. Farzine from Dubai. Welcome, Farzine. Yeah, I was in Dubai last August. Very happy I got to visit there. So hope that you're doing well out there in Dubai, Farzine. And Harris, our good friend Harris from Pakistan, I believe. Hello, sir. How are you? I'm doing well, Harris. Thanks so much. Really appreciate when users come back. It kind of lets me know that I'm on the right track, right? That I'm doing good things. So really keeps me encouraged. And Rex, our good friend Rex from New York City, says good morning, everyone. Hey, Rex, how are you? Hope you're doing well. So while I'm waiting for you guys to, actually we have one more new user, Rita from Morocco, live in France. Nice. You're our first Moroccan viewer today, but we usually get quite a few. And lots of Moroccans in France. I understand that's a very common path. So hope that you're doing well out there. But yeah, guys, go ahead and keep on filling up my chat. Let me know where you're from. I'd like to do a little bit of an opening note today, a little bit of a different opening note today. One of the things we really don't talk a lot about on this channel is visualizations, right? So today I came across a terrible visualization, and I wanted to kind of bring this up here. Let me bring this up on the screen. Sorry, I picked the wrong one. So here's a visualization from an email that I received earlier today. I'm going to give you guys a second to look at it. Is anybody happy with this visualization? Can anybody tell me a couple things that jump out at them? Again, we really don't have a lot of an opportunity to talk about visualizations. And the funny thing about visualizations is you never quite know when you're doing them right. But you can kind of see where they go wrong. Yeah? What do you guys think about this visualization? Give me some feedback in the comments. Now, I'm not going to talk about the source But it's a terrible visualization, right? So what do you guys think? Rex says no labels, no metrics. Yeah, that's right. It's terrible, right? Andy says I can only see half the page. Okay, Andy, let me try to move it over so my Instagram people can see it maybe just a little bit better. That should be a little bit better, Andy. Or Andy, feel free to move over to YouTube. I'm Data Science with Dennis on YouTube. That gives you a little bit of a widescreen view also. But I'm going to do my best here to move it over. Let's see if that does it. It looks like I need to move it over even a little bit more. Let me move it over that way. Yeah, that should be better for the Instagram people. What do you guys think? I think Rex is on the right track there, right? No labels, no metrics. Anybody else agree with Rex? So, if we're on board with what Rex says, it makes the chart a little bit more dramatic, right? Denelson, welcome, says, hi everyone, I agree. Yeah, it makes it more dramatic, right? To not have those labels. Isn't this kind of a little bit of the of that term you hear, lying with statistics, right? I don't know. To me, I just doesn't seem right. Rex says, why is the combination of a line graph and a bar graph? Yeah. I think that's that's a good question too, right? Kind of adds to the drama, right? Because it's showing like like a decline twice. But then again, to Rex's point, right? Like, there's no labels, right? Is there, is this weekly? Is this hourly? Is this daily? Yeah, Andy, great comment. It segues into my next point. No data level. What are they trying to show? A category or trend? Yeah. So Andy, to that point, here's the other thing that bothers me, right? If you don't have, well, one, we don't have any sense of the timeline, and we don't have a big enough picture of the timeline. So this could just be variance, right? Life is not a straight line. Life is not a straight line. Life has variance, right? That's one of the biggest takeaways, you know, people get from a statistics course, right? Variance happens. Life is not linear. So this could just be hourly variance for all we know. This could be a small variance, right? We don't know. Without the X and Y labels and a bigger picture, a big enough picture to examine that variance, this is drama, right? This is alarmist. This is being alarmist. This is lying with statistics. Yassine, yeah, I saw your comment. Didn't mean to ignore it, but you know, I think Yassine is doing a nice little wrap up there, right? I see the opposite of transparency. You're right, right? Because the whole thing starts off, we're going to be radically transparent. I mean, that's a lie, right? I mean, this is the opposite of being transparent. This is lying with statistics to be alarmist. I mean, this could be a very small hourly variance for all we know, right? And to Rex's point, they're showing the decline twice to be more dramatic, right? So keep that in mind, guys. You know, be suspicious of visualizations that you come across, right? I think this is, an extreme example, right? But be suspicious of why visualizations look like they do. And like I said, it's kind of hard to know when you're doing visualizations correctly, but it's rather obvious when they're being done poorly. So make sure you don't do them like this, because this is poor, right? So good. I'm glad. Thank you all for that feedback. I think you guys all, hit it on the nose. This just really jumped out at me today, because this came through my inbox today, and I was so disappointed in how terrible this visualization is. So, glad to see that you guys are catching on to that, and I'm happy to highlight it so that you guys can, be cautious of this and definitely don't produce stuff like this. All right. I keep on pressing the wrong buttons this morning. Excuse me. Yeah, so guys, again, if you're new, please let me know. Or if you're just joining us, please let me know your city, state, province, country, and go from there. So yeah, I want to make, where did I pick up? So Rita says that they are a functional consultant at SAP. Ugh. Oh my God. Who hurt you, Rita? A functional consultant at SAP? Oh my God. I'd rather have my job being sitting and watching paint dry. Just kidding. Manoj, our good friend Manoj from Bangalore, India says, good morning, sir, and everyone. Good morning to you too, Manoj. Hope you're doing well. Manoj, I never asked you, or maybe I have, but remind me, are you a student out there? I can't quite remember. Let us know a little bit more about you if you're comfortable with that, Manoj. Osama, another good friend from Morocco, says, hello, sir. I hope everything is going well. Everything is going really well, Osama. The only thing that's not going well is this stupid vest I'm wearing. I decided to wear a vest on stream today just to see how it looks. I love this vest. It's from one of my favorite golf companies, Ping. I love the Ping Golf Company. So, it's a nice golfing vest, but the collar looks terrible on stream. So maybe you guys can give me some feedback. But yeah, I don't know. I like the color. I love the company, the little Ping logo. But yeah, I don't know if it looks good on stream. So you let me know. Oh, I missed Fatima. Fatima, how are you? Fatima says, hey, sir. Hey, Fatima, how are you? Fatima, I wish you a happy weekend, but apparently you have to go to school tomorrow. So my condolences. Harris, I'm going to come back to your question after we do the introductions, okay? Half the page. Yeah, Denelson, welcome back. Denelson, our friend from LA. Bar Gutters for the Kleiner. Leo, our friend from Morocco, says, good morning, everyone. Hey, Leo, good to see you. So Andy says, it could have been better if the chart had an average line instead of the trend line. Yeah, but that would be too honest, right? Like, they're doing it on purpose, right? To be alarmist, right? It's the lying with statistics part of it, right? Because you're 100% correct, right? But so the question is, why did they not include that, right? I mean, that's where the truths start coming out, right? And like I said, even then, like, okay, fine, I'm okay with you showing me a trend, but show me a wide enough so I can see where that trend relates to other trends. Because this could just be variance, right? Life is not a straight line. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Yassine. Yassine says, nice new opening song. Yassine. You know what's funny? You're the man, Yassine. I changed that theme song on Monday, and I intentionally did not announce it. I was curious. I was like, I wonder how long it'll take people to notice. So Yassine, you're a smart guy. It took chat 5 days But yes, I did change my waiting music, my opening song. So good on you, Yassine, for recognizing that. YouTube kept on giving me copyright violations for my other song, which doesn't make any sense because I have a license. I've shown them the license because I do everything legally. I don't steal people's music. Don't steal people's intellectual property. But for some reason, they kept on flagging it, even though I've shown them my license. I think the problem is that I bought the license on a third-party site, for music. But so I ended up using one of the YouTube songs, because YouTube gives you a bunch of songs. Because I didn't want to mess with that, right? But yeah, Yassine, congratulations to you. You noticed. But yeah, that song's been up there for 5 days, and Yassine is the first one to notice. So good job, my friend. Late Night says, hi, sir, and everyone. Quanale? Please let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. From Durban, South Africa. Nice. Very cool. Very cool. So good to see more people from South Africa. I'm big in Northern Africa, but I'm still working on my Southern Africa. Welcome. Glad to see you here. I don't think it's your first time. I think I've seen you before, so welcome. Abhinav, I don't think it's your first time, so welcome back. Abhinav from Hyderabad, India. Nice. Hope you're doing well out there in Hyderabad. Welcome, Abhinav. Harris says, today is my 3rd day of streaming. That's why I don't know the changing of song. Yeah, Harris, so to you, it's always been the same song. But previously, I did have another song that people really enjoyed, and I liked it too. It's a pretty cool song. But yeah, it was just causing too many headaches on the copyright side, and I didn't want my account closed or anything. So I just decided to pick one of the YouTube songs, and that way it's just automatically not a problem. But yeah, I mean, I like the new one too, though. The new one is a good song. Manoj says, yes, sir, I'm a student of your daily stream. Okay, cool. Thanks so much. Yeah, you're here. You're a consistent supporter, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much. So look, I'm seeing a ton of new people in the chat. So before we lose anyone, I want to let you guys know that on Sundays, I'm running my tutorials. For the regulars here know that on Sundays, I tend to do a little bit of a longer stream, a longer class. So this Sunday, we've started a new series where you're building a brand new project with me. We are doing a project from beginning to end, every single aspect of a complete data science project. So this is week 2. Last week, we got a contract in place with our client. And now this week we're moving on. And the next step is to go into agile planning. What is the plan that we want to execute for our data science project? Okay. So if you want to join us Sunday, 1500 GMT, we tend to go long. We go at least 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. So feel free to come. Feel free to come and go if you need to. But I want to make sure all the new people know that because I'm seeing a lot of new faces. Sunday, 1500 GMT. It's my biggest stream of the week. Some people only come on Sundays. But, it's a little bit more instructional, right? Because, on the other streams, I just like to keep it fun. We talk about a variety of different things. But yeah, if you want to come Sunday also, you're welcome to do that. A lot of people find it helpful. I have a lot of fun with it. I'm already preparing the materials. The materials are going to be pretty good for that. So you're welcome to come. Ramya, we asked people to let us know where they're from. So let us know your city, state, province, country, all of that good stuff, please. All right, guys. So we're going to do something a little bit differently today. And we're going to talk about, let me bring that up again. Give me just a second because I want to show something up on the screen again. We're going to talk about a Instagram post that one of my moderators, Leo, who's also in the chat today, sent me yesterday. Harris says, Sir, I'm new to data science. Can I see that Sunday project? Yeah, sure. Sure. We're trying to take things step by step. This particular Sunday is going to be a little bit more about agile planning. So if you're curious about that, or just kind of, just want to listen to the community, right? You can just come and join and just listen. That's totally fine. But anyone is welcome. All right. So as I said, I want to go over something that Leo sent me. So Leo's one of my moderators, and he sent me this Instagram post. And obviously, I'm very pessimistic of posts like this because, this is all just vaporware like 90% of the time, right? But a company out there is saying that they are working on an AI-powered passenger plane that won't require a captain, so it won't require a cockpit, right? So it's a completely different design because the plane will be completely guided by AI, right? So this is not surprising, given that, companies are working on self-driving cars, right? FSD cars, fully self-driving cars. There's also been talk about, companies working on fully self-driving ocean vessels, right? There's companies working on that, right? So it's no surprise that airplanes would come at some point, right? And I know that there's a lot of people out there who are very excited about self-driving cars. But you might have different feelings about self-driving cars, and then you might have different feelings about airplanes or about ships, right? So what do you think? What do you guys think? Give me... Let's start with self-driving cars, okay? So audience participation time. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're excited about self-driving cars. Or give me a 0 if you're not excited about self-driving cars. What do you guys think? Clip, do we ask people to introduce themselves? Let us know your city, state, province. We do that, to keep the chat professional and all that. So go ahead and do that. Enos, welcome. We ask people to introduce themselves, please. But give me a 1 if you're up on self-driving cars, if you're excited about them, or a 0 if you're not. And let's just keep it to votes for the moment. All right, we'll discuss the reasons why. But let's just keep it to 1s and 0s for now. Leo, let's save that for the debate, because we're going to have a debate after this, guys, right? So let's keep it all to 1s and 0s for now. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a good mix. Maybe a couple more 0s than 1s. So give me your votes, guys. Just the votes, not the reasons. We'll get to the reasons, right? I'm going to ask you a rationale. Leo, you keep on giving me reasons. Save it. Just give me a vote. Oh wait, you did. You gave me 0s. Yeah. Okay. Just give me 1s and 0s for now, guys. I think it's pronounced Amr or Amir. Amr. I'm an international student currently in New York, USA. Welcome, Amr. Nice to see you. So Emmer, right now we're voting on self-driving cars. Give me a 1 if you're excited about them or a 0 if you're not. Last call for votes. Last call for votes. All right, our new friend Andy, he's excited about self-driving cars. He voted 1. All right, guys. So here's the second part. I want to hear you about, okay? So I want you to keep your first vote. I want you to show me 2 votes. Okay? Keep your first vote and then put a dash or an and then tell me if you're excited about the self-driving plane or self-flying plane, right? The one you see on your screen. Right? No cockpit, no airplane, self-driving airplane. So give me your first vote is a 1 if you're up on FSD, and then give me a dash, and then give me a 1 if you're up on the airplanes. So you could vote 1 1 1 0 0 0 0 1. Let me know. All right, so it's 2 votes this time. Okay, so I'm seeing 0 1 0 0 0 1 1 and 0. Okay. 1 and 1, 1 and 0. Last call for votes. Interesting combinations, guys. Last call for votes, anybody? So remember, 2 votes this time, guys. Your first vote is how you're feeling about self-driving cars, and then how you're feeling about airplanes. Okay, our new friend Amber is a 1 0. Andy's also a 1 0. Manoj is a 0 1. All right, last call. Last call. 10 seconds for votes. I'm still waiting for feedback on this vest, guys. I don't know about this collar. This collar is a pain in the butt. All right, anybody else? All right, so really interesting combinations here, guys. Denelson, you're my only 1-1. Leo, you're my only 0-0. So you guys are in the extremes, right? So we got our extremes. We got our 0-0s and we got our 1-1s. And then people are mixes in between. Leo says, looks like you're ready to work as a consultant. I know, right? It's very New York, right? Like this is Fitty standard wear. Maybe not the color, right? This is too bright for finance. But yeah, it's definitely the standard New York uniform, right? All right, so we got our extremes, and then we got 1s and 0s. We got 1-0s and 0-1 people, right? All right, guys. So personally, you know, and I'm kind of surprised that there's a lot of people who kind of agree with me on this, and I'm curious to hear the rationale. But I'm a 0-1. I am not on board with self-driving cars, but I'm kind of okay with the airplanes. Like, I'm kind of okay with it, right? Now, I'm not going to give my rationale because, you know, I don't want to bias the discussion. I'll give you my rationale later. But let's talk about our yeah, Mafood. I think you're a 012. Yeah. Yeah, so Mafood, Manoj, Enos. So yeah, I mean, exactly, right? We're on the same page, right? But I want to hear your rationale, because guess what, guys? That's part of science, right? Even though we agree, my rationale might be different than yours, right? That's the beauty of science, right? So we'll get to that. But you know, we're gonna let Leo go first, because we'll give Leo the honor of going first, because it was his idea to share this with me. So Leo, you're a 00. I want, if you're willing, I want to hear your rationale. Share it with the chat, and then the chat can kind of give their view. But I want to let Leo go first, and just let us know what you think, Leo. Like, you're a 00. What's the rationale? Where is that rooted? So Leo has the floor. So Yassine says, I think for self-driving cars, the amount of possibilities which things can go wrong is much more than I'm willing to tolerate. For airplanes, I think the process is kind of limited. In special cases, very rare. It doesn't require that much thinking and reaction, so I'm more optimistic about the airplanes. Yeah, Yassine. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but you know, that's pretty much my rationale too. You know, driving conditions change a lot more than flying conditions do, right? So if you're also a 01 like Yassine, so Yassine, Enos, Mafood, if you guys want to start sharing your rationale too, you know, Yassine has kind of already done his. But you know, I generally agree with Yassine. But hey, you might have a different view, right? So go ahead and share it in the chat. But you know, we're also waiting on Leo to give his 00 view, and then you know, to put Denelson on deck, I want to hear Denelson's 1-1, because he's the only person that was 1-1, right? So that's like a pro AI stance, right? Like AI everything, right? But let's hear it. Let's hear it. Okay, Mafood agrees with Yassine. That's okay, Yassine. You jumped the gun a little bit. That's okay, you know. But you know, we'll give Leo some time. But yeah, so it seems like Mafood, Yassine, and I have very similar rationales. All right. So Leo says autonomous vehicles are not ready to deal with different conditions and unexpected situations. It doesn't matter how much they get trained. Okay. I mean, I'm on board with that for vehicles. It seems like Yassine would also be on board with that. Anything else you want to add to that, Leo? How about the airplanes? Oh, wow. Oluwasegun, how are you, my friend? It has been a long time. So glad to see you back. Remind us where you're from again, and feel free to introduce yourself again. But yeah, good to see you back, my friend. It's been a very long time. You're one of my early supporters. Really glad to see you back. Leo says it takes one unexpected event combined with a rare event to bug the system. Okay. And so you're saying that also applies to airplanes. Okay. So Leo, it sounds like you would apply the same rationale to both airplanes and cars. But here's the thing, Leo. Earlier you had stated about not excited about anything that takes away human autonomy and control. I want to challenge you on that a little bit, Leo, because that sounds like a fundamentally different argument than machine learning isn't really ready, right? Leo says, yes, I'm biased towards that. Okay, but Leo, that sounds more like a fundamental belief rather than something that's like, oh, you know, machine learning is a failure or machine learning can't help this. Am I wrong on that? I'm happy to be wrong, but let me get your thoughts on that. Mafood says, excited to see everyone's thoughts for buses. Okay, so it sounds like Mafood is specifically interested in buses. You know, Mafood, that's interesting. That's interesting because buses do have inherently different needs than a car, right? Because buses need to make stops and they hold more more people, they weigh more. They need more time for turns and lane changes. Okay, that's interesting. So Leo says no, there's also the technical challenge on that where clearly the industry is not ready. Okay, okay. So, but you think that it's both the cars and the airplane industry that's not ready, right? Because you're a 0-0, right? So let me know if I'm understanding that right, Leo. All right, so Denelson, our only 1-1. For my pro SDC, I always think that if everyone is able to gain access to SDC, then it could help with the level of recklessness on the road. Okay, I think you mean the self-driving cars. Okay. For the planes, I agree with the planes because, like stated before, there's less risk in decision making. Gain access and it could help with the level of recklessness. Okay, so Denelson, I love how you're breaking out two different rationales, right? Because you're presenting two different rationales for one rationale for cars and one for airplanes. So that's cool. That's cool that you did that. But here's the thing, Denelson. For the self-driving cars, and by the way, I think the more appropriate term is FSD, fully self-driving. I think is like the more accepted term. So here's the thing for FSD though. What you're describing has been discussed. It's been discussed in the sense of saying, well, look, let's just take all cars off the road and we'll only let people buy FSD cars. And the theory behind that is that if you did that, then you could use a completely different set of technology and you can have like the cars talking to each other, and you could have like sensors built into the roads and into light posts, and you could kind of create like these utopian cities where no one crashes because the cars are always aware of each other and, you know, the traffic is controlled and stuff like that, right? So that's really kind of like what you're describing, and it's been discussed, but it's been deemed financially unfeasible, right? Because it takes a lot of money to do that. And in fact, you know, I wrote an article about this many years ago, like 2016, I think I wrote an article about this. A long time ago, I did work for a consulting company in San Diego. They did consulting for the government for like big road projects, right? And you know, like if a city government somewhere wanted to build like an overpass over a highway, right? They wanted to build a new bridge overpass over an existing highway. They would use like a company like the consulting company I use for to help them figure out the logistics and the planning of that overpass, right? And one of the things I learned that most people don't know, and at least here in the US, is that planning and the financing for road projects is extremely complex. Extremely complex. Because in a lot of situations, you know, you're going over an existing highway, so that means you're entitled to federal funds to get money. The city wants to own and maintain the roads, so they get to own the roads that are on that bridge. But then you're also part of a county, so the county also gives you money because you're helping the overall county. You know, maybe you're connecting two county roads, and then you got to pay for the light posts. Well, the light post money could come from a different source, so on and so on and so on. So to do that, to have everyone gain access to these FSDs, and the cars have all of these sensors, and there's sensors built into the roads, and things like that. That's never going to happen. At least here in the U.S., never going to happen. The financing, the politics, the organizing behind it, literally make it impossible to do that, right? So I hear your plan and it sounds great, but it's been discussed and it's been deemed unfeasible. It's just too many parts to it, right? Not to mention that, I'm just discussing like who's paying for it, not the source of the funds, right? Source of the funds is like a whole other ballgame, right? Taxes and bonds and measures and all that, right? So I don't know about that. I don't know about that one, Dennelson. Very pessimistic about that. Your rationale for the planes, yeah, I think there's a lot less that can go wrong, right? Like I think that somebody can check me on this. If you want, come back to me with an answer. But I think I read somewhere that if you look at the statistics, the majority of accidents for airplanes, like the fatal accidents, happen on landing, right? The second one is takeoffs, right? But once you're in the air, like planes don't just fall out of the sky, right? I mean, yes, there's random like depressurization events and stuff like that, right? But it's the takeoffs and landings that are the dangerous ones, right? But once you're in the air, like, most of it is autopilot now anyways, right? So yeah, I hear you on that. And it sounds like most people in the chat have that same rationale about airplanes, really don't have as many changing conditions, right? So Leo says, I believe one day it could be possible, but not because one thing is possible, we should do it. Okay, Leo, I'm on board with that. How would they handle, for example, magnetic storms, unexpected weather, conditions aligning with mechanical failures, either cars and planes? Yeah, that's a good question, Leo. But so here's a question for the chat, right? Because Leo's bringing up a decent point. But in my mind, the probabilities for changing conditions are a lot less in airplanes than they are in cars, right? A car can face like 100 changing conditions in an hour, whereas an airplane has a lot fewer than that, right? So to me, the probabilities are nowhere near the same, Leo, right? Like aside from weather, and mechanical failures that are going to happen anyways, what else could an airplane face? Like it seems like a lot less than what a car would. So let me know what the chat thinks about that. So for those of you that voted that you were okay with airplanes, let me know what you think about that. Is that part of your rationale? That on a probability basis, even if you are willing to accept that there's changing conditions in the air, aren't they a lot less than they are for a car? I'm tempted to say they're significantly less, right? What do you guys think? So Oluwagessen says, I think the less dynamic system is the easier to control. The less dynamic a system is, the easier to control. For airplanes, once in the air, I don't think it's as dynamic as a vehicle moving along. Yeah, I'm on board with that. I mean, that's basically what I said earlier. I just didn't see your comment. But yeah. Absolutely. If the fleet is big, assuming this becomes popular, it takes one outage for any reason to cause a tragedy. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you on that, Leo. I think you're talking to the automated system I was describing. Yeah, I mean, you're creating potential single points of failure, right? Autopilot, but with pilots today, modern jets don't plane. Sorry, Leo, I don't understand that last part. Modern jets don't plane. Sorry, Leo, I'm not getting that last part. Okay, Fatima, glad to hear from you because I know that you were a 0-1 and that stood out to me. Is that right? Let me. No, Fatima was a 1-0. 1-0. Yeah, okay. So Fatima says, I'm not comfortable with self-flying airplanes since any malfunction in the air could be much riskier, and I prefer human pilots for that level of responsibility. Okay. So I like that Fatima is bringing the human element back into it. And by that, I don't mean the pilots, I mean like the comfort level, right? So Fatima, I love your rationale, but I'm going to challenge you on this one a little bit. Because, I've done a lot of flying. I've been on a lot of airplanes. And one of the things you kind of have to like realize and come to terms with is that you're right. The accidents are more risky, but there's what? There's like a lot of things that can go wrong where even the best pilots can't help you, right? Like pilots die too, right? Like there are some that just don't that there are some things that are going to happen that you just can't help. Like you could have the world's best pilots and they're still not going to be able to help. So like at that point, does it matter if it's AI or not? Maybe not, right? Some of the issues that have been happening in the past, like what, year, 2 years with Boeing and some of their like, designs and how the airplane reacts, that wasn't a pilot issue, right? That was a design issue. So at that, it wouldn't have mattered if it was AI or humans, right? So what do you think about that, Fatima? Because there could be times where it's just like no pilot can help you. Right? There's been accidents like that. Like there's one that comes to mind, if you guys remember, maybe like, I think it was about like maybe 5 to 7 years ago. There was an Air France flight. I believe it was from Brazil to Paris. And unfortunately, the airplane did crash somewhere over the ocean, right? Because that's a very ocean heavy flight, right? And I think that the latest thinking was that, on the outside, airplanes have this thing called a pitot, which is a little tube that takes in air, and that's how they determine the speed of how fast an airplane is going. It's a tiny little tube that just sits there and takes in air. And unfortunately, it had become frozen over. So when that's frozen over, you can't get accurate speed ratings. So the pilots were going a lot slower than they realized. And that's why they crashed. I think that was like one of the final determinations. Right? So, like, does it matter if you have a first-year pilot or a 20-year pilot or AI in that scenario? Right? So what do you think, Fatima? Let me know. Or Harris says, I agree with you, Fatima. Okay, Harris, so what do you think? There's situations in the air where, like, the world's best pilot ain't going to help you. Yassine says, I think these problems will be a problem even if it's not AI, like unexpected. Yeah, Yassine. Yeah. I mean, I wish I'd seen your come. That's exactly right. Like at some point, when you have to accept that when you're an air passenger, right? They will have the same consequences whether human or AI is driving. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Yassine. But here's the thing, Yassine. I'm not always comfortable with the end result of that, right? Because to me, that's something potentially that companies like auto companies, insurance companies are going to use to justify, you know, not having to pay families, right? They're going to use that to avoid legal liability. So that's the part that I'm really kind of like not on board with. Like, you know, they're going to come and tell you that your grandmother died and it's not their fault. It's the fault of a math formula. That kind of sucks, right? So I hear you on that. Like, fundamentally, I agree with you, but the human side of me says that I'd rather just not have them. Right? What do you think about that, Yassine? So Leo says, I meant jets have autopilot, but the pilot is still there. Modern jets don't glide. Okay. They just fall. Okay, that's scary. Sorry, guys, I had a sneeze there. So Harris says, in a plane, hundreds of lives will be at stake in comparison with automated cars. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, Harris. Again, I like the fact that a couple of you guys are bringing the human element back into it, and we should, right? So I appreciate that sentiment, Harris. You're right. Rohit, we asked people to introduce themselves, okay? Let us know where you're from. Leo says, yes, I thought of that accident. I'm assuming you're referring to that Air France. But here's the thing. Why not use AI to run better diagnostics and efficiency? I don't understand this obsession with self-driving stuff. Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so what do you guys think about that? Leo is saying, hey, look, maybe there's other uses for AI. Why does it have to be the pilot? Okay. Okay, I'm on board with that. I think that's a good thought, right? What do you guys think about that? Give me some feedback on that, because I think Leo's making an interesting point there, right? It doesn't have to be a pilot replacement. It could be something else. I like that. There's so much better ways, better and efficient ways to implement AI everywhere. Why insisting on autonomous vehicles? My option to take humanity autonomy and make it dependent on big companies. Okay. Yeah. Why insisting on automated vehicles? Yeah, I hear you on that, Leo, and I agree. I agree. You know, in many ways, I think, you know, to your point, Leo, that some of these self-driving companies have kind of painted themselves into a corner, right? Like, how much has Tesla spent on FSD? They can't just say, oh, you know what, we're going to go ahead and abandon that. I mean, they can. They just can't say it to their stakeholders, right? They're not a brave company, right? They're not willing to say that. So, yeah. I mean, why does it have to be self-driving? It could be something else. Could be gas efficiency or something, right? Hey, Luke, we asked people to introduce themselves. Let us know where you're from, okay? Linux foil hat speaking now. Okay, that's funny. But that's okay. You know, we should be suspicious of this. We should be suspicious of big companies, right? Fatima says, you're right. Some situations are beyond a pilot's control, but humans can still adapt to unpredictable events better than AI for now. That's why I think human oversight is crucial, especially in air. All right. All right. So what do you think about AI, but there's still a backup pilot there in place. Because this is saying that there's going to be no cockpit, no pilot. Does that change your view? It might for some people, maybe not for others, right? Yassine says, yes, sir, I didn't take that aspect in consideration, but I guess regulations must be adapted to fit with the AI era. I think it's good to think about from a human perspective, but in reality, AI will be used wherever it can produce the maximum profit. Yeah, but that's not maximum profit's not always a good thing, right? Maximum profit's not always beneficial to the humans, right? All right, so our new friend Andy says, while technology might not be an issue to fly AI-powered plane, however, there might be a magnitude of demonstrations that is crucial to build trust, while self-driving people still have the control. No, Andy. There are plans to have cars out there with no steering wheel, no controls, nothing. So there are plans for FSD to not have any human capabilities, right? Like even if you wanted to, there'd be no steering wheel, no controls, right? So I'm not completely on board with your statement there. Leo says, FSD, brain chips, Mars. For me, they're chasing the sci-fi agenda from the 80s. Yeah, Leo, I 100% agree. And then same thing with last night, right? The droid event, or whenever it was, last night or the day before. You know, the droids is just another example of that, right? Those Tesla droids are nonsense, complete nonsense, total trash. But you know, Elon is a showman. He's a showman, and quite frankly, he needs money, right? I mean, Tesla's biggest need is not AI employees; it's raising funds from financial firms, right? And they've been great at it. That's why they have those big reveal events. So yeah, I agree with you, Leo. They're chasing a lot of weird stuff that shouldn't be doing. Luke, thank you for the introduction. I'm from Missouri in the United States, currently studying data science at university. Very cool. Very, very cool. Thanks for the introduction, Luke. Luke says, why not develop AI for both uses? Yeah, you could, Luke. Sure. I mean, you're right. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. But, you know, I like the fact that the chat is talking more and more about those human elements, right? Maybe there are plenty of uses of AI that could be developed that people just aren't comfortable with. Right? Like maybe they're just not comfortable with, and that's okay. Right? Oh, you know, something else to think about. But yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. I hear you. Rohit, thank you for the introduction. Hi, I'm Rohit, doing Masters in Data Science, 1 year in Pune, western part of India, from Maharashtra, India. Nice, welcome, Rohit. Welcome, good to see you. So Rohit says, I think the AI will become first officer and then fully independent controlled by AI. Okay. So are you comfortable with it, Rohit? Like, are you getting on one of these planes? Like, are you okay getting on one of these planes? Let us know. It sounds like you might be. So Leo says, for me, yes, I'm down. Better design system and a pilot there. That's perfect. Imagine a powerful sensor on that Air France flight powered by AI could have predicted the problem way before. Yeah. But, you know, well, you know, I kind of don't want to speak out of turn here because I'm not trying to put myself out there as an aeronautics expert because I'm not. But Leo, my understanding is that a lot of airplane systems still have like a mechanical component to them, right? Like that tube I was talking about, like having like a component that takes in air is like the only reliable way to know your speed in the air is my understanding of it, right? So that has to be mechanical no matter what's powering behind it, right? So, and I'm also thinking about like the flaps of the airplane and something like those are all still mechanical systems, right? I think it's like fluid dynamics driven, right? But my understanding is that most of those are still like, physical. So I don't know if it would help in every single scenario, but I see where you're going with that. Thanks for the mod duties there, Leo. Really appreciate that. Luke says, that makes sense now. As it said, just because we can doesn't mean we should. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that, Luke. Right? I mean, not every idea is a good idea, right? Like, how many of you here are ready to line up so that, Elmo Musk can give you a brain chip, right? I can't think of anything I want less than that, right? So yeah, I mean, just because it's out there doesn't mean like, it's a good thing. Andy says, sorry, I might not be clear. I was referring to self-driving cars like Tesla, but not fully on board with autonomous cars. Okay. Yeah, I hear you, Andy, but just remember that there are plans. There's plenty of companies out there working on 100% autonomy, right? Like I remember when, these cars were first coming out, or, the talk of them was first coming out. This is back like in 2018-ish. I remember that there was like this weird article or discussion or whatever you want to call it that was talking about how, when we reach FSD, it has the potential to significantly affect the hotel industry. Because the thought was that now you could drive across the country, right? Like, across the US. And by the way, for those of you know, going across the US is anywhere from 3 to 5 days, depending on how fast you go and how many drivers you have. It's like a long trip. And they were saying how, well, people would usually stop and get a hotel room, but now the car will be your hotel room because you could sleep all the way there, right? You just tell the car that you need to go across the country, and you could like just bring your sleeping stuff and like sleep in the car the whole way. You won't need a hotel, right? And you can drive 24/7 because the car never needs to stop other than gas, right? So there was like a lot of like that level of crazy autonomy talk where people won't need hotel rooms anymore. You can just drive everywhere. So yeah, I mean, like there's people out there who are crazy about the autonomous cars, right? So I hear you, Andy, and I'm not on board with them either. So really appreciate your thoughts there. So Harris, I know you directed this at Leo, but it's a good thought. We can't control the nature. Nature can do anything, and that is not in our hands, whether it is in human or in AI hands, but humans can take better decisions at the moment. Okay. Yeah. So you're talking, Harris, your comment, reflects a lot of Fatima's thoughts too, right? Where you might just feel better with a human at the controls, right? And I get it. That might be like a comfort thing, right? I get it. Yeah. Fatima says, I agree. We could have just one pilot so we can reduce costs and enhance safety, allowing AI to handle routine tasks while the pilot focuses on critical situations. Okay, yeah. That's another possibility too. Leo says we don't even have roads for that. Yeah, that's true, Leo, right? I mean, I think the dream is a lot better than the reality, because the reality is that, yeah, the car would have a hard time navigating some roads, some sections, right? See, and that's the part that gets me about FSD, and people say, oh, the AI is great, blah, blah. But for me, like, I always think about, well, what about changing road conditions? What about like detours, construction zones, changing speed limit areas, right? I'm not comfortable that FSD can handle that. I'm not comfortable that FSD has been tested in a variety of different scenarios, right? So I hear you. I hear you, Leo. Luke says, not long ago, a startup company caught my eye. They were working on self-driving railroad cars. In my opinion, this may be easier to implement than FSD, so we may see those sooner. Exciting. Okay. Okay. Like, you know, I don't want to. I don't like poo-pooing people's ideas, right? But, you know, if it excites you, cool. I'm not sure if I'm excited about self-driving railroad cars. Like, who's demanding that, you know? Like, who's demanding that? You know, what are we really saving by that? You know, like, because, you know, generally speaking, railroad accidents are still rare, right? Like, if you think about all the railroad shipping that happens around the world, you know, and it's a lot, right? And, or even just here in the US, it's a ton. Like, are we really saving a lot? I don't know. I don't know, Luke. Like I said, I don't want to poo-poo anybody. You know, if railroads are your thing, Luke, you know, who am I to judge, Luke? We live in an open and free country, Luke. So if you like railroads, go for it. Luke says mainly I've seen commercial uses. Well, yeah, I mean that's most of railroad shipping, right? Yassine says, for me, the closest AI implementation to vehicles to safety is for trains or vehicles with predefined routes. Yeah, Yassine, I think you're right on the second part, right? Like, most of the previously FSD cars were really just fake it till you make it, right? They were predetermined taxi routes. And that's not AI, that's machine learning, right? That's you tying machine learning to a GPS device, right? To keep you on the route. Because that happened a lot in my city and in other cities on the West Coast. But you know, there's no magic to that, right? I mean, you could. That's like a graduate student's programming challenge or something, right? But yeah, a lot of the early stuff, and some of it still is, right? Where it's just predefined junk. All right, last call for comments on this, guys. Really interesting discussion. It's good to see everyone's perspective. Man, this collar. I'm telling you guys, I'm never wearing this vest on stream again. This collar is killing me, guys. I love the color, but I don't think this is a good one for stream. I'm going to try a different jacket tomorrow. But really appreciate the discussion, guys. Lots of good feedback. Lots of good thoughts. Yassine says it looks good. I don't know. This collar here is like, getting to me. All right, guys. So really appreciate everyone. Really appreciate all the new viewers. Tons of new viewers today. So for the new people, Sunday, 1500 GMT, please go ahead and join us. We're doing a little bit of a longer tutorial. If you're curious about agile planning, Scrum planning, this Sunday is a day to attend. I'm going to show you how to do Scrum planning from the very beginning, just like how they taught it to me at IBM. It's gonna be a good session. I'm really excited about it. All right, guys. So as always, lots of craziness happening in the world. Don't let an AI plane fall on top of you. So please take care of yourselves. Please take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.